welcome to the Port Huron Statement. Today I am presenting Gili, who has really a troubling and urgent message, and I think that the audience should listen. Yeah, go ahead with however you want to start.
It's Gilly.
Gili, did I get it wrong again?
Yeah, it's Gilly.
God damn, I'm sorry, Gili. I think we can still just keep going. I think this is pretty natural. Gili.
Yeah.
Damn it, alright. I usually good at that. Piss me. Sorry.
So I am in a current crisis, and what I want to do is share what it is. But my reality at the moment is that I'm not exactly sure what it is, when it started, and how we got here. Because the experience of one is the experience of their family and their community, the governments in which they operate, the agencies they depend on, the stores they go to. Like, we are all connected. And before we started, I had a moment where I can see myself in you.
Yeah,
in a way that I didn't before we started taping. And first of all, I want to say to who will recognize me, I love you so much. You are incredibly brave and strong. You are unique. You are talented. And you have such an incredible imagination. And I want you to use those things right now. Because I'm in a bit of a situation. If I wasn't, I would be there. And before I disclose what that is, I feel like there's been a lot of eyes on me. And I can speculate where it's coming from. There's a lot of people and a lot of agents.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Including people in some powerful positions, whether it be by the groups that they belong to, the authority or position they have, or authority over my life through economic restraints, situations of abuse and gaslighting that seem to be following me. And part of the reason is because I have a lot of information. I have a lot of information that are just basic facts that tell me that I know things that you guys wouldn't necessarily want me to talk about.
Well, they don't realize that they're betraying you into the point where you have to.
But I can. But I don't know exactly who you are or if it's multiple things, if I've sometimes been misrepresented to people. Because right now, we have a wealth of influencers and therapists and politicians who are telling us to fear one another, to hate one another, to find the scapegoat and rid them. And then you have that being projected onto people who are doing their best. I am doing my best. Not to be turned into a sociopath. Not because I don't want to look like one, but because people at least got to understand why first and how, because it's happening to a lot of people. And so I'm hoping, even though I didn't discuss this, that there will be a chance to do more of these, because before I name people, I want to give people a chance to know who I am, know who my family is, know where I'm from, know why we are asking for some compassion.
You're just asking to be treated even remotely.
And support. Because when people don't like you, even good people, they are able to play on confirmation bias and old stories of propaganda that have been passed down through generations. And sometimes that happens on a global scale, particularly with social media, and sometimes that happens in your own home, and that might as well be the whole globe when it's happening. So before I ask for help, I want people to know who I am. And at the same time, know there is not a lot of time because there are children involved. And if I'm being looked at as the enemy by anybody, including my own family, or if I am the object of hate for many groups, particularly because of my nationality and the current things going on in Palestine and in Israel. And it felt like overnight the whole world turned on me, including my own family. And to quote one of my kids, "Mom, I know they don't want to be around you, but do they know they're leaving us too?" And this goes for people who I love, who I protected. This goes for ideals that I loved and protected, for a country that I loved and did my best to protect the people of.
Are you saying people ostracizing you because you're Jewish?
I'm saying I don't know if it's
Okay.
a hate crime or my own family wanting me to shut my big mouth up.
Okay.
Because they're experiencing some generational trauma. Because, it's just my grandfather survived the Holocaust. Members of my family did not. And it passes down that hurt. But not just that hurt. It's that knowing. It's not fear.
Dehumanization.
It's knowing how easily people can dehumanize other people, particularly in war. And war does not just happen between countries or within countries. The first wars our kids normally ever see in this part of the world, this one, the Western world, is in their homes. And the reality is most of us grew up in homes where there was good and there was not so good. Because parents are doing their best. Just like people believe, particular people who are parents and who believe that it's their job to protect their children, forget that there's children in the people that you're trying to protect them from. And I've told my story and my family's story a lot of times from the trauma and the current crisis that I'm in and that many of them are probably in, including generational flashbacks, if that's a thing. So I'll let you, but I want you to know who we are in entirety, including my kids, who I am not sure where they are, and an ex-partner who I believed loves me and also may have betrayed me, and an ex-husband who refuses to stop making good on his threats that were not taken seriously. And there are judges and there are courts that I can name who seem to have affiliation with some hate groups. There are people that I know and love and trusted that often have had affiliation with hate groups or groups that perpetrate propaganda and conspiracy. And I might be in the middle of one. And for me, that's really confusing, because I have always been skeptical of conspiracy, because I've seen throughout not just my family's generation, but so many people's generations, large groups of people that exist in small numbers now, if any, or who were driven from their land and over time adopted a whole new culture, because in America we love to say we're the salad bowl or whatever, melting pot. There you go.
It's not real.
My family might be mad at me right now because I'm an awful representative. Like if we were to pick any, there are many more accomplished and learned amongst them, generationally and going into the future. But they're assholes because I'm in trouble.
Yeah, no, you're
and,
proving your quality. Yeah.
And no, I'm not the best representative. I make some poor decisions, but I wasn't always this way.
We shouldn't assume that self-deprecation is better than you think. But
no, I think that people should be real. If they want to understand a story, you got to understand the whole story.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's like, so many religions and mythologies and folklore about nations, our own nations. And
other
it's contingent on the narration. And so propaganda, media in particular, and the arts are a place where a lot of that happened, and now we have technology, and we've had technology throughout history that brilliant minds can use to gain advantage, or that rich people can use to hire them to gain advantage, or that people who...
they're not brilliant, they're clever.
Well, it depends on if we're talking about psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, or many other personalities. However, in general, although the capacity and depth of compassion can vary, we're all born with an ability to have compassion. And not only an ability to have compassion, but a want. Because the reality is,
it's advantageous.
I know a lot of people on that spectrum. And I know a lot of people who have trauma and PTSD and who are veterans of one war or another, whether it's from this country or another. And oftentimes they can look the same. And you add something like substance abuse or addiction, and
you talk about pressure, stigma.
And stigma. I can remember being the mom whose house everybody sent their kids to, who hosted all the holiday parties. And mostly I'd host all the Jewish holidays with Christians, because that's the community that was around me, and they were excited about it. And it was a fun time. And I didn't have to have that in-depth knowledge, because what did they know,
It's about community, yeah.
But I've been ostracized from my community, and I've been smeared, including to my own children. And I keep saying I want to tell my story, and I keep going to the trauma. But the reality is here I am. I feel like I'm like 7 years old again, and I'm around these people that are much older, either in soul or in age or in wisdom. And they are brighter, and they are talented in all of the arts.
That's you as well.
And
don't fail to see that in yourself.
Don't
get sidetracked.
If I had time to have a clear brain, because I wasn't being attacked on my phone all day, and the things that I watch, and the people, get out of your house, so I get out of my house, and the people in my community, and there are times that it drives me so insane that I'm beginning to believe that I either called some people back from the dead, or somebody else who said she would did. Or that I asked for some deep spiritual experience, or if I fell in love with a man that had connections that maybe he needed a quieter partner for.
I think you're in the psychological operations fucking nest. So.
And there were times I was so scared I called on the CIA, the FBI, the IRS. Shouldn't have called them. But my ex-husband, among other things, was a financial abuser and still is, and would rather use thousands of dollars to coerce me into contracts and to bring me to my knees because it turns him on.
The sexual sadism.
And you have no idea. Like, I used to be hot shit, and I was cool. And I was smart. And I wasn't afraid. But I was also nurturing and loving and giving.
You're targeted.
And more important, I was the mother to 4 kids who I knew better than I knew anybody in the world. And being away from them, particularly when people are accusing me of abandoning them, because that's the popular narrative, because they'd rather talk about that than the times that they failed. But I have been documenting everything.
Keep doing that.
And I don't know if I've been invited into something really special and I'm messing up every opportunity, or if I'm in the good place. I know that there's somebody who through a government program learned that he could kill me without ever putting a finger on me. I know that I have a family and community and friends and even children that are acting contrary to who I knew them to be, and contrary to what I believed this country was about, contrary to believe what I thought this state in this city was about. And there are times that I think that I'm fractaled out, or that I'm caught up with some people that are powerful in realms that I don't understand, and that I've been too distracted by betrayal and assault and character assassination and cyberbullying and hacking,
very well.
Constant innuendos every single time I turn things on, and then the reminders of how amazing everybody here is. The reminders of how they look out for each other, or the reminders of, well, you used to have this, you want to keep it up because you can end up here on the outside. And I've never been good at assimilating or conforming, not for very long.
That shouldn't be expected, though.
And when I'm in the middle of a crisis, you know, I've mostly been knowledgeable of one role really in depth in my life. And then more recently it became 2. But one role is mom. And when you say that, I was a stay-at-home mom, so you're talking nurse, advocate. I homeschooled. I was a teacher. I had to make and design curriculum. I had to stay up overnight and make toys like an elf.
Yeah. Oh, so that, yeah.
Because like
To do it well, it takes a lot of work. To raise a kid pure.
because it was that, or do sexual favors for a man who told me I should be grateful, and who he wanted to punish. When he wanted to punish me, would take the kids out to someplace really great and tell them I had to stay home because I didn't behave, and if you ask if I allowed it or I took it quietly, no, I didn't.
Wow.
But I didn't leave because his family and him had made a lot of threats, and because I knew and was beginning to know more That when you're talking to somebody normally and then they just burst out into laughing and say things like, you know, he told me, before I go on, I'm now in a position where I don't feel like I have any control over my life, not economically, not socially, not within his family, not protection because I've gone to police.
Oh, yeah.
But there are also things that I haven't gone to police about, including things that were happening in hospitals that I previously knew to be
You do not
good
have to
places.
with this unless you go to the right place. I'm just like, they're, sorry, go on.
And I have people that are literally trying to drive me crazy so that they can create a narrative that covers something up, and I don't know what that is, whether it's a secret that can make my life better or a secret that can
Make it better.
that has destroyed what I knew. I don't know where my kids are. And I don't know where I can go to for help. And everybody, including 2 people in this room, know that. And they want to pressure me to do podcasts and to speak to people who don't know who I am and may hate me because they've heard another narrative. And my mom once told me that if I make everybody look at my pictures, I'll have no friends. But you know what? I don't have any friends right now. I have people that pretend to be friends, but I don't have any friends right now. And the one friend I did have may be in jail. And the other thing that's being suggested to me is that he ran off and fell in love. And but then there's the women that welcomed me into his family, that showed up and took me shopping when I got here because I would need stuff for the winter. Although in retrospect, I find it weird that they know that my ex-husband got a hold of my storage unit, and some of the things that were in my storage unit were all my sweaters. But at the same time, they had my back. They had my back even when it was their brother that I was wanting to get away from. And I know a lot of people have opinions about him too, because that would be really, really convenient to cover up the reasons that I'm experiencing the things that I'm experiencing, to put it all on one person. I do not believe in a scapegoat. I do not believe in a scapegoat at all. We are all pieces of this thing. We are all part of one, whether we want to be or not, whether we like who we're neighbors with or not, whether we agree with them or not. We can't undo this web of connectedness. And we cannot decide that there are people within this society that should not be able to participate, or that deserve to be rounded up, identified, called out. And so that's why you guys have been able to continue it, because you know the information that I have. You know that it would be damning. You know that you don't want people to know. You know that it would either hurt some sacred vow that you took and were holding me to, or that it would make you vulnerable, or that it could get you in trouble or make you lose money, or maybe owe me some fucking money and my house back.
Unless you want to call it cut. What do you want?
So my home security has been taken. And that was a collective effort, and it's been ongoing. And you can add the price of things today, too. And the just fact that single mothers following divorce do far worse economically than the exes that they divorced. And I was coerced into signing the agreement that I knew wasn't going to protect me. But the problem is that before I ever filed for divorce, I had been going to counselors while enduring abuse that was making me anxious, that was preying on my paranoia.
It's not paranoia if it's rational. You don't have paranoia. You've been exposed to a lot of things that you have rational.
I do have rational,
fear
yes,
and
but
apprehension.
I have rational fear and paranoia, but it's distorted because when you're dealing with psychopaths or sociopaths or whatever, there's
Trauma there too, yeah.
the system is the system. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a person or you're talking about an agency or government. And not because a sociopath or a psychopath isn't human, they are human. But the system is comprised of humans. And if 1 in 5 people has this, then they're going to be within the system, including the system of our social engagement.
The system's also selecting for sociopaths and elevating them because they're easier to utilize to.
And I feel like I'm being painted either to be one or to become one. And I feel like they're doing it to my kids too. And I feel like they're doing it for a lot of people that are dealing with trauma maybe that you don't understand because it's not relatable to any of your experiences. And although there are people in my family whose experiences I do not understand, not only because I'm much younger than most of them, but or at least were, but my life has been very different. I had children at a young age, and for me that was an amazing thing because I came from a family of like inventors and entrepreneurs and people who had survived wars and became great artists or inventors or public servants or authors or businessmen and my younger brother apparently made a real success of himself because what a mensch, right? Golden kid. But and it's really not his fault that I don't like him because I love him. In fact, I protected him with my own body. And after that event, people were told that I hit myself with a hammer.
You've been in psyop hell for a long time.
And sometimes I think my dad looked at me like I was a Nazi, his own daughter.
There.
And we never had a chance to really say goodbye, and I did not speak at his funeral. Because I felt like it was personal. And I didn't speak when I had a chance to speak, and he would have gone to jail. But so would have everybody else.
Yeah.
Because
Protecting them for jail and then they
my stepmother saw it. She was there. She was watching Star Trek. You know, the only people I tend to turn in are my own family. But I know stuff about your family too. I know stuff about your hospitals, your clinics, your community health. I know stuff about your groups and people in them. And I know things about former mayors and celebrities birthed from here.
That's a compliment.
And when you don't know who to turn to, when your family is saying you can't go to them, and I have a feeling that's what my kids are saying to me, and that's what my ex was saying to me, and that's what his family was saying to me. Because they don't understand me.